the famed Buddhist nun Pema Chodron, Pamela had been visiting Masterss regularly for years. She belonged to a group of supporters devoted to proving his innocence. They called themselves Jarvistas. Pamela told me that Masterss had written a book, numerous articles, and a poem for which he'd won a PEN Award. He'd converted to Buddhism and studied with an eminent Tibetan Lama, Chagdud Tulku Rinpoche, who proclaimed him a bodhisattva, one who works to end suffering in a place drowning in suffering. Indeed, Pamela claimed that Masterss had become a force for good in San Quentin, teaching Buddhism to inmates and even thwarting violence. Encouraged by Pamela, I arranged a visit to death row, arriving at the former Bay of Skulls on a fogless morning, a steel wind blowing in through the Golden Gate. White sailboats floated like lotus petals on the bay. Tugboats pushed barges, hydrofoil ferries glided by, and the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge glistened. After my identity was verified, I passed through a metal detector and, as instructed, followed a painted yellow line along a rocky embankment. Overhead, armed guards watched from a tower that looked like a lighthouse. Masterss was housed in the ominously named Adjustment Center, the solitary housing unit, the Hole, once described by a San Quentin administrator as a contained, enclosed unit for the vicious, violent, insane men society doesn't want to exist. He'd been in the AC for 2 decades. I was led to a chair that faced a smeared glass partition. After several minutes, a door opened on the other side, and a guard escorted Masterss in. He was tall and clean-shaven, with neatly buzzed hair. Reading glasses hung around his neck. When he was unshackled, Masterss sat, and we picked up cracked handsets. His voice was muffled as if we were talking through tin-can telephones. Masterss had clear brown eyes, a sweet tenor voice, and a quiet charisma that the glass couldn't obstruct. We talked about Pamela, Pema, writing, the news, and a recent lockdown after a stabbing. I asked questions about guards, inmates, and his Buddhist practice. Masterss was articulate, thoughtful, and funny. After an hour and a half, a guard signaled that the visit was over. He led Masterss away, and I left the cell block, emerging into the cold bay air. I ruminated about the meeting. Masterss seemed open and earnest. I glimpsed what his friends described as something indefinably special about him, but charm does not equal innocence. We've read about vicious yet charismatic murderer Truman Capote's Perry Smith. Capote even grew fond of his accomplice, the far more pitiless Richard Hickok. Sister Helen Prejean's Elmo Patrick Saunier, and Robert Lee Willie, and Norman Mailer's Gary Gilmore. As Mailer portrayed him, Gilmore was callous and remorseless, but had a keen mind, wit, and allure. Was Masterss a killer? His friends swore that he wasn't. Had he been framed, as his lawyers argued, or was he a skilled manipulator, a con artist taking advantage of trusting, good-hearted people like Pamela and Pema? Even if Masterss was innocent, I didn't know what to think about the claims that he was, as his supporters described him, an enlightened Buddhist practitioner who had changed and saved lives. There are Buddhists in many prisons. For that matter, there are born-again inmates of every faith. There are prison writers, poets, and others who've been singled out as unique. Was Masterss truly different? I refrained from judging him either kindly or harshly, but he continued to intrigue me. In the years that followed, Pamela kept me abreast of events in Masterss' life. In 2007, after 22 years, he was released from solitary confinement and moved to a less restrictive death row cell block. The following year, he married in a ceremony presided over by Pema Chodron. In 2009, Pamela asked me to provide a blurb for the second book Masterss wrote. She also told me about the ongoing appeals process. There was